Quack-a-doodle-doo. What is up, fellow birds of the spiral? It is your friend and pal Fearsome here with another companion guide where I will be discussing the companion El Toro at length with some advice on different setups and how to use them in different situations. So let us get right into this video. And the first thing we will be discussing will be the powers and some of his other quirks that really do define the champion, no matter how you end up setting him up. So the first thing he has is a power called Esprit De Corps, and this is actually the main reason why you would want to use this companion in the first place, especially if you're a swashbuckler or a buccaneer, because those two classes cannot, train any type of accuracy buff or dodge buff. However, they can use this companion, and they are very reliant on dodge and accuracy in many situations that they are frequently in. So this companion, El Toro, is very good for Buccaneer and Swashbuckler in particular. Not as much for Privateer, because Privateer has Esprit De Corps, it has Call to Arms, it has Battle Zeal. All those are accuracy and dodge buffs. So Privateer does not need this companion as much. Musketeer does not need this companion very much because they already have really good accuracy and their dodge is so bad that really can't be improved very much. Same thing for Witchdoctor. So this is pretty much a companion that is mostly useful on Swashbuckler and Buccaneer. Alright, that being said, there are some other things that make him a pretty decent companion. There's this ability right here. He's one of the few companions in the game that can actually jump. So if you want to farm Metal Guardian, he is definitely a must to farm that as quickly as possible. And then, of course, you have this ability right here, Alert, which makes him a good minesweeper companion. So if you're up against a musketeer and he's bombing you and throwing down a lot of traps, he can walk over them and reduce the amount of damage done by the traps by 50%. It's quite nice to have. Another thing that makes him a pretty decent companion is that he has high mobility. So he doesn't really have any gap closers, but he does have 5.5 movement. Which most companions in this game, like Ratbeard, Bonnie Ann, Emmett, Exeter, Scratch, Pepe de Torto, and many of the others I will be discussing at length in other videos, those companions only have 4.5 movement. So El Toro has a pretty big advantage over those companions in that regard. So those are the perks and powers of El Toro. Next, let's talk about some setups for your El Toro. How you can set the epics on your El Toro for different roles that you'll be using them for. Now, here's kind of an in-between setup. It's kind of like half damage carry, half defense, or support, I guess you could say. And that's because I give him First Strike 3 as kind of a reactionary epic to kind of help him defend against hidden melee attacks so he doesn't get one shot. And then, of course, I have this here, Relentless 2. So the reason I never put Relentless 3 on a companion is because I have done so much testing on Relentless 3. I probably tested the thing out like 100 or so times on both Relentless 2 and Relentless 3. And on paper, Relentless 3 would do a 70% chance, would be a 70% chance of triggering. Okay? And Relentless 2 would be a 35% chance. But that is not the case. In fact, it is almost identical. So Relentless 3 basically does not work. It does not work at all. So never put Relentless 3 on your companions. Never try really hard to get Relentless 3 on your pirate. It's really not worth it. That being said, a Relentless 2 gives you basically 3 chains. You have a total of 3 Relentlesses that can trigger, despite it being ranked to Relentless. Alright, now we talked about the Relentless he has. Why do I have First Strike 3 on El Toro in this particular setup? Well, the reason I have it is so that he can guard against hidden melee attacks. Because Swashbuckler or Buccaneer or any other melee companion in hide could, walk up to him and kill him before he has any chance of doing any type of damage. Which we don't want. We want our companions to be as useful as possible. And First Strike 3 basically removes a hidden before a player decides to attack El Toro, or whichever other companion or pirate has it. On top of that, First Strike 3 gives a 25% increased damage on all first strikes. So that does amount to quite a lot, especially for a swashbuckler companion. So yeah, that is why I have First Strike 3. If you're going to put First Strike on a companion at all, it's better to have First Strike 3. And last, of course, I also have Riposte, which is the epic that El Toro automatically comes with. So to use some situations on when this companion would be most useful is versus a privateer. If you were to trigger a repel borders on a privateer, you would almost certainly get a nice first strike in, you would get a nice riposte, and you would get some chains directly after that. In fact, I have I've actually like one-shot privateers before using this companion. He's no joke if you know how to use him correctly. He's also great for use against ratbeards. You have to be careful if the ratbeards have hold the line, or if the ratbeards have repel borders 3. You just have to be smart and bypass their hold the line and repel borders with other companions and other pirates, and then you can really use this guy to chain down ratbeards. So yeah, mostly useful for Buccaneer, mostly useful for Swashbuckler. This is pretty much the go-to setup for most people. That being said, it is not the only setup, and I'll be discussing 2 or 3 more in just a minute. Alright, so the next setup is a pure defense El Toro. Now, before I really delve into this, let me point something out. It's not whether this is a PvE setup or PvP setup, it's what role you plan on using your El Toro. That being said, for PvE, it's better to have your El Toro in more of a damage carry setup that we will be talking about later on in this video. This here is a pure defense El Toro setup. And what this particular setup is best for is countering damage carries. Say if you're up against a Goronando, a Fan Flanders, a Kobe, or some other melee champion, Peter Quint. This is a pretty effective counter. So you could put First Strike 3 on your El Toro, and then you could put Riposte 3. What this does is, as we discussed with First Strike 3, it, increases the damage by 25%, and also makes it so that hidden melee attacks are revealed. But what Riposte 3 does is it also gives you some dodge after the riposte. And it also allows El Toro to riposte a total of 3 times. Now, ripostes do more damage than Vengeance Strikes. They do more damage than First Strikes. They do more damage than Relentlesses. I think they do about, 1.75 damage. It does seem that way based off of the many matches I've done, but it does quite a bit of damage, especially if it high rolls or supers. So it can really be devastating against the damage carries that I just mentioned. Fan Flanders, Peter Quint, Kobe, Goronando. So yeah, once again, I will be discussing those companions in later guides, so keep an eye out for that. All right, let us move on to the next setup you can use. All right, so here is yet another setup you can use, and I would call this more of a PvE setup. Maybe if you're against a swashbuckler and you are almost certain that he's not going to bring Contessa, this setup might work in certain PvP situations, but it's best to use in PvE only. All right, so what it is you put Riposte 2, and you go with Relentless 2, and you go with Bladestorm 2. Now, if you prefer, you can have the second Riposte as a first strike. It really doesn't matter. The main reason you'd set him that way in the first place is so that he can get full Relentless chains, and he can get full Bladestorm chains. So that's more of a damage carry setup. Do try both the first strike Riposte and the double Riposte setups for that damage carry El Toro, and tell me which you prefer better. I don't use damage carry El Toro very much because I'm mostly a PvP player, and there are a lot of other companions that are much better for PvE. So I do believe that covers all the possible El Toro setups that work very well at all. So yeah, we will get right into the talents. All right then, we are onto the talents. You want to go with Rough, rank 4 for 40 damage, Tough, rank 4 for 510 health, it's really nice to have, and you want to also go for Accuracy, which gives 15% increased accuracy. Next, you'll want to go with Dodgy, which increases your dodge by 15. Now, the main reason why I go with Dodgy instead of Agility, rank 4, is because I've noticed no huge difference in the amount of critical attacks that El Toro gets with the added Agility. I have, however, noticed that he dodges a lot more when he has rank 4 Dodgy. Accuracy is definitely a must, Tough is definitely a must, Rough is definitely a must, and arguably Dodgy is definitely a must. So those are his talents. Hey, if you like what you see, you can make your own awesome videos with a drag and drop editor called Filmora 9, who I am actually affiliated with. So if you want to go ahead and check that out, their program is free. There is a premium version, which is also really nice and what I myself has been using for many years. But if you would like to see what a brand new YouTuber has made with Filmora 9, absolutely free, the first time he used it, I will go ahead and post a 5-minute video that I really enjoyed myself in the link below in the description. So be sure to check out Filmora and be sure to check out his YouTube channel because he's also an awesome Pirate101 YouTuber and we all love to support the community. So yeah, I will see you guys around.